The Senate being evenly divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
In a vote that went down to the wire, the Senate has passed President Trump's sweeping tax and spending bill. This legislation promises significant changes to the American economy and social fabric, but what exactly is in this big, beautiful bill? Good evening. Washington has just witnessed a legislative battle of epic proportions. After a marathon overnight session filled with last-minute negotiations and partisan maneuvering, the Senate has passed President Donald Trump's signature domestic policy initiative, officially titled the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The final vote was a nail-biting 51-50, with Vice President J.D. Vance casting the decisive tie-breaking vote in the early hours of the morning. This bill represents a cornerstone of the president's second-term agenda. So, what is in this massive piece of legislation? At its core, the bill makes the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent, preventing what Republicans have called a tax cliff for millions of Americans. It also introduces several new tax breaks that were key campaign promises, including the elimination of federal taxes on tips and overtime pay for many workers. Proponents argue this will provide immediate financial relief and stimulate economic growth from the ground up. But these tax cuts come with a hefty price tag, and the bill seeks to offset the cost through significant spending reductions in other areas of the federal budget. The legislation proposes over $1 trillion in cuts to programs such as Medicaid and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, over the next decade. These are some of the nation's largest social safety net programs, and the proposed changes have ignited a firestorm of controversy. The road to passage was anything but smooth. Republican leadership, led by Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, had to work tirelessly to shore up support within their own ranks. The bill's journey through the Senate was marked by intense backroom deals and a vote-a-rama, a rapid-fire series of amendment votes that stretched through the night. The tension was palpable as the outcome remained uncertain until the very end. On one side of the aisle, Republicans have hailed the bill's passage as a landmark achievement. They contend that by cutting taxes and reducing the size of government, the legislation will unleash a new era of prosperity. They point to the pro-growth policies of the first Trump administration as evidence that this approach will lead to job creation and higher wages for American workers. The White House has released its own analysis, projecting that the big, beautiful bill, combined with deregulation and energy policies, will lead to significant economic growth and ultimately reduce the national debt. They argue that the bill will create millions of jobs and substantially increase the take-home pay for the average American family. This optimistic outlook is a key part of their sales pitch to the public. However, Democrats have painted a much grimmer picture. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has called the bill a betrayal of working-class families, arguing that it lavishes tax breaks on the wealthy and corporations at the expense of the most vulnerable. Democrats forced a full reading of the 940-page bill on the Senate floor in an attempt to highlight what they see as its most damaging provisions. The Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, has offered a sobering assessment that stands in stark contrast to the White House's projections. According to the CBO, the bill would add trillions of dollars to the national debt over the next 10 years. This has fueled Democratic accusations of fiscal irresponsibility and has become a central point of contention in the debate over the bill's long-term consequences. The CBO also projects that the changes to Medicaid and other health programs could lead to a significant increase in the number of uninsured Americans. This is a major concern for Democrats and healthcare advocates, who warn that the cuts could jeopardize access to essential medical care for millions of low-income individuals and families. The potential for rural hospital closures has also been a significant point of concern. The debate over the bill has not been strictly along party lines. A handful of Republican senators expressed serious reservations about the legislation, leading to the dramatic 50-50 tie. Senator Susan Collins of Maine, a moderate Republican, voted against the bill, citing concerns about the deep cuts to Medicaid and the potential impact on her state's healthcare system. Libertarian-leaning Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky also broke with his party to vote no. His opposition stemmed from the bill's significant increase in the national debt ceiling. He argued that while he supports tax cuts, they should not be financed by what he views as fiscally irresponsible borrowing that will burden future generations. The spending cuts outlined in the bill are substantial. For Medicaid, the legislation seeks to implement stricter work requirements for able-bodied adults and alter the federal funding formula for states. Proponents argue these changes will root out waste and fraud, but critics contend they will create insurmountable barriers to care for many who are already struggling. Similarly, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, faces significant cuts. The bill aims to tighten eligibility requirements and introduce new work mandates for recipients. Supporters say this will encourage self-sufficiency, while opponents argue it will lead to increased hunger and hardship for low-income families, many of whom have children. Beyond the major tax and spending provisions, the bill also includes funding for some of President Trump's other key priorities. there is a significant allocation of funds for border security and immigration enforcement, including money for the construction of a border wall and the hiring of more immigration agents. This reflects the administration's hardline stance on immigration. The bill also repeals certain green energy tax credits that were part of previous climate legislation. This move is in line with the Trump administration's America First energy policy, which prioritizes fossil fuels over renewable energy sources. This has drawn sharp criticism from environmental groups and Democratic lawmakers who are concerned about the impacts of climate change. The passage of the big, beautiful bill in the Senate is a major legislative victory for President Trump, but it is not the final step. The bill must now go back to the House of Representatives for another vote. While the House passed its own version of the bill earlier this year, the Senate's changes, particularly the deeper cuts to Medicaid, could create new challenges for House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. The political fallout from this vote will likely be significant. Democrats are already vowing to make the bill a central issue in the upcoming midterm elections, arguing that it demonstrates the Republican Party's disregard for working-class Americans. They will likely use the CBO's analysis to hammer home their message of fiscal irresponsibility and social neglect. For their part, Republicans will be eager to tout the bill as a promise kept to their base. They will focus on the tax cuts and the rollback of government regulations as evidence that they are working to strengthen the economy and create opportunities for all Americans. The success or failure of the bill's economic predictions will likely shape the political landscape for years to come. The coming days will be crucial as the House prepares to take up the Senate's version of the bill. All eyes will be on Speaker McCarthy as he works to whip the necessary votes in his chamber. The narrow Republican majority in the House means that he can only afford a few defections. The starkly different projections from the White House and the CBO highlight the fundamental ideological divide in Washington over economic policy. One side believes that tax cuts and deregulation are the keys to prosperity, while the other argues for a stronger social safety net and more government investment. This bill is a clear victory for the former. The long-term effects of this legislation will not be known for some time. Whether it unleashes the economic boom that its supporters predict or exacerbates inequality and debt as its detractors fear will be the subject of intense debate and analysis. What is certain is that the passage of the big, beautiful bill is a transformative moment in American politics. As the nation digests the implications of this monumental legislation, the political battles will continue to rage. The future of healthcare, social programs, and the American economy are all at stake. We will continue to follow this story as it develops and provide you with the latest analysis and information. The big, beautiful bill has cleared a major hurdle, but its journey is not yet over. The coming weeks will determine its ultimate fate and set the stage for the next chapter in American politics. Thanks for watching.